Long Island drug counselor John Venza never imagined it would happen to him.
That's the last thing he wanted me to find out.
His own son, Garrett, was hooked on heroin.
Their job is to hide it from parents, and the last thing parents want to believe is their kids are doing drugs.
You didn't want to believe it?
Well, I was real enough to know it could be my kid at any given time, but I felt that he was doing pretty well and he was on the right track.
John says Garrett had been using for such a short time, he was able to quickly kick the habit.
He was doing well and cleaned up. We got Garrett help. He was clean for about 21 months.
But after all those months of sobriety, Garrett relapsed. One snort of heroin is all it took.
I use ice cream as the example. Once you've had ice cream, can you ever forget what it tastes like?
Heroin's like ice cream.
Yeah, you know, as young people describe it, it's like the best feeling they've ever had.
When you found out that he had a problem with drugs, did it become a possibility in your mind that he could overdose?
The day I found out, I was sitting in my living room with my wife. I said, you need to prepare for him to die.
Those words would come back to haunt John in the most horrible way possible. It was the night Garrett came home late from work.
I said, all right, Dad, I'm in for the night. I love you. I said, I love you too. He went to bed. Next morning, went in his room, and he was dead on the bedroom floor. And rigor mortis had already set in. There was no reviving him. It was a horrific moment in time. Everybody started screaming, and I still allow myself, when I need to, you know, grieve, and I need to go to that place. Because, you know, we're never going to be the same again once we lose our kids. Ironic twist of fate for me that I've helped so many other kids, and this is how my son died.
Do you think if fentanyl had not been mixed with the heroin, that your son would be alive today?
I believe he would be.
Maybe it's the first bag of heroin they're using, and if they get a fentanyl lace bag, that will be their last.
Substance abuse expert Steve Chasman tells me technology has made it easier than ever for kids to score a bag.
How easy is it for a high schooler or even a middle schooler here on Long Island to get access to heroin?
Because of text messages, because of the internet, you don't even have to go into certain neighborhoods anymore. You could just order on your text, and drug dealers are marketers now. And just give me your address and I will deliver.
In New York City, fentanyl kills someone every 7 hours.
We have more overdose deaths than not only homicides, but homicides and traffic accidents combined.
New York is a major drug distribution center, so the city created the Office of the Special Narcotics Prosecutor. Bridget Brennan has been in charge for almost 20 years.
So would you say that there are drug labs here in the city that are producing the drugs and combining the drugs?
Absolutely, we call them drug mills, where they bag up literally millions of glassines. When we hit a search warrant, we'll find thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of the little envelopes. And it's usually very low-level workers. Many of them might be here illegally.
As Crime Watch Daily exclusively reported, Brennan's team, along with the NYPD and the DEA, made New York City's largest bust of fentanyl ever.
There were 64 kilograms of pure fentanyl.
Pure?
Pure.
How many people could that kill?
Millions.
Millions?
Many millions.
So almost the entire population of New York City?
Times 4.
That's enough fentanyl to kill 32 million people.
They're pumping out deadly stuff onto the streets of New York City and throughout the East.
How can you make that connection back to the Mexican drug cartels?
We do debriefings, we look at background information. You can also look at border crossings. Right before a lot of drugs are distributed, there'll be a lot of chatter. I mean, there'll be a lot of arrangements being made. There'll be a lot of activity.
The cops have one goal: put the kingpins in the clink and get the smack off the streets.
The South Bronx has long been notorious for the drug trade.
It's after sundown. I'm riding shotgun with Chief Investigator Bill Cook. He's taking us to the scene of another big bust. A trendy hotel in a sketchy area of the South Bronx.
This is the hotel where you seized 35 pounds of fentanyl?
That's correct.
An unbelievable bust.
Yeah, it was huge.
How did you find over 30 pounds of fentanyl here at this hotel?
It's police work. It's the use of sources.
The alleged trafficker is Carlos Ramirez. He's seen here on a surveillance image. He pleaded not guilty to 4 counts of criminal possession of a controlled substance.
The really frightening thing about that is fentanyl just sitting out in the open in a duffel bag flung on top of a vending machine. Nobody around.
We then got word of another bust going down in the Washington Heights section of Upper Manhattan.
And so what do you find inside?
Inside on the second floor, we find a heroin mill. It's a regular apartment that's outfitted to prepare, package heroin for dosages, individual dosages.
Cook says investigators found nearly 3 kilos of pure heroin and fentanyl.
Hundreds of thousands of bags.
Wow.
At $10 a bag, maybe. It's incredible. It's a lot of money.
So hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars that this small amount of drugs could sell for.
That's correct.
At that alleged heroin mill, we joined forces with award-winning reporter Jay Dow, covering the bust for our New York City affiliate, Pix 11.
All of this is right across the street from an elementary school.
An active drug mill.
An active drug mill, and we have no idea how big the operation is. Residents are scared to talk to us. One man put it this way: when I asked him if he wanted to tell us about the bust that happened in his own building, he chuckled, he looked at me and he said, "I like breathing."
But the night isn't over yet. Far from it. Just blocks away, on swanky Central Park West, in one of Manhattan's iconic buildings. Recognize it? It was the location of Elaine's apartment in Seinfeld. Cops say they found $3 million worth of fentanyl and heroin.
I guess people will remember that as Elaine's building, but inside, you find a fentanyl mill.
Yes. We come across about 5 pounds of fentanyl. Rent was $4,000 a month.
What would the street value of that be?
Millions.
In a wealthy area like this drug just does not discriminate.
It does not. If the neighbors only knew.
Next, we go inside the DEA's crime lab as they reveal the secrets of the Sinaloa cartel.
Just when you think you saw it all, you haven't.
You won't believe how they sneak this stuff into our country.
A $3,000 investment into a kilo of fentanyl could easily make 1 million tablets of fake oxycodone tablets, which would turn about a $20 million profit.
Wow.